Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching Morning Cafe. It's still Biashara Tuesday, and we have Paul Owidi, eTims Operation Officer from the Kenya Revenue Authority, to speak to us about matters eTims. But recently, KRA intensified its rollout of the electronic tax invoice management system, that is the eTims, with a solution tailored specifically for petrol stations. And that's what we'll be talking about this morning. And this move is part of KRA's strategy to enhance tax compliance, seal revenue leakages, and digitize the entire tax ecosystem. But what exactly is eTims? Why is the petroleum sector such a priority this time round? And Paul, karibu sana.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just start there. What exactly is eTims?
Okay, thank you for having me on the show once more. eTims is basically that convenient, efficient, and user-friendly software that enables our taxpayers to generate receipts whenever they do transactions for their clients. Yes.
So why is the petroleum sector, such a priority for KRA right now?
Now, one reason is the fact that petroleum sector, generally, the hazardous nature, and then now the non-compliance that we have in that particular sector, that now triggered KRA now to come up with a specified or a tailored-based solution just to be able to facilitate these particular taxpayers in this particular sector. So you find that during now the peak hours at the petrol stations, there's a lot of commotion, and this commotion comes with a couple of risks. Now to facilitate a faster-based solution, we had to come up with this solution to enable taxpayers to do faster transactions and also comply with the prevailing tax laws that we have.
So how do you intend to do this without, disrupting operations? Because we do understand that petrol stations handle large volumes of money, and most of them, they use fuel card integrations. There's also that loyalty programs. So while you introduce these eTims to also just help these, these people queuing up for fuel, that you're not also disrupting operations?
Now, this particular solution, you can be able to integrate it without basically interrupting the normal businesses at the petrol station. And also it has the ability to do generate invoices offline whenever there is an interruption in the internet connectivity. Yes.
We've also seen that past digital tax solutions, we've seen some didn't fully take off. With eTims, what structural changes are you trying to make at KRA to ensure that now this eTims survives where others failed?
Recently, we've been having a sector-based approach where we tend to now approach sectors based on their unique needs. For example, there's a particular petrol station industry. You'll be able to have a solution that is able to do transactions without necessarily doing punching transactions manually and interfering with the normal businesses at the station level. Yes.
How has KRA rolled it out?
We started, it was a phase-based approach that we took, running within 12 months. We started in June 2024 with a robust and very robust, very robust stakeholder engagement, where we did engage our key stakeholders like the Kenya Pipeline, the EPRA, the oil marketers, such as the PIA, POAC, and even the Unipair. So from then we took another phase that was a voluntary piloting phase, where we gave an opportunity to our taxpayers to come on board voluntarily to pilot with us as we assess now the readiness of this solution to full rollout. And currently we are on full rollout with a now deadline that we have given is 30th of this month to ensure that all our stations, the petrol stations, complies with the tax regulations. Yes.
So what is the procedure for compliance?
The procedure, there are two ways of onboarding. They can opt. One is a self-integration. If you have a required in-house technical capability within your station, you can be able to do your own integration. But if not, you can also reach out to our certified third-party vendors whom we've approved and published on our website. You can be able to reach out to them for facilitation. Yes.
Who is the target audience for this solution, the eTims?
The target audience basically is the players within the petroleum industries, whether the oil marketers, the dealers within the industry, and such like. Yes.
How has the research like so far? I understand that this is recently rolled out. You're targeting everyone in the petroleum industry, but how are they receiving these eTims?
Of course, we continue to do a lot of stakeholder engagement. We be able to now explain to them the benefits of this particular solution so that they be able to onboard. But of course, as usual, the reception at the beginning was not quite well. But as of today, we've onboarded close to 100 stations. Yes, which is quite encouraging. Yeah.
So do you see, or do you have hope that, you know, these petrol stations and those stakeholders of the petroleum industry are all going to onboard? Because we know sometimes there's always, let's say, reluctance in just trying to join in new systems. So do you have faith? And what are you doing to just try and convince the stakeholders and the general public that this is for their good?
Okay, what we do, as I have said, is to engage the industry robustly so that they be able now to comply. And then what we've also done is to give them that opportunity to be able to wear their, the challenges they face during the process so that we can be able to support and address them in real time. Yes.
Are you confident that they are going to onboard? That was the question.
Of course, there are a number of them are onboarding, a number of them are having engagements with the already certified integrators on the how to come on board. Yes.
So what are the major loopholes or, say, patterns of non-compliance that KRA saw and that triggered you guys to prioritize eTims in this sector specifically?
Now, initially, this sector had an electronic tax register, that is the ETRs. Now, when you move to the petrol stations, you realize that they were punching these particular transactions selectively, and not all of them as required by the section 42 of the VAT Act, that anybody who does a supply of vatable products should be able to issue invoices in a prescribed form. And therefore, this is one of the triggers. And then to add on that, there were also requests and suggestions from the oil marketers that we should come up with a solution that would enable them to fully comply with the tax laws that we have. Yes.
So Paul, take us through the data flow, right from when a customer, fills their vehicle to when that transaction reflects on the KRA portal.
Now, how the setup of this particular forecourt solution is, you have dispensers at the petrol station, and there is a device we call forecourt controller. Now, this forecourt controller has the ability now to read or integrate between the dispensers and now the POS, or the fuel management system. Now, whenever you go to fuel in the station, of course, let's say for 2,000 shillings, of course, the attendant will key in the 2,000 shillings. She or he takes the nozzle, fuels, then takes it back to the dispenser. Once it takes it back to the dispenser, there is an automatic generation of an invoice. It means that particular transaction has been automatically captured on the for record purposes. Yes.
You talked about the benefits that this has on the taxpayer, or that, you know, that car owner queuing in for petrol. But what benefits does this module offer the owners of these petrol stations?
This particular module has numerous benefits to our taxpayers. I would mention just a few. One, it has the ability now, it has the capability of reporting. Now, with eTims, this particular forecourt solution, you'll be able to have your a modified report with different parameters. This particular report will help our taxpayers in even in internal accounting purposes or even reconciliation. That has been a mayhem in this particular industry. Then the other benefits, it has enhanced functionalities. For example, if you have a gift card for your clients, you'll be able to integrate that particular gift card, and whenever they fuel at the station, they'll be able to capture that on this particular solution. Other benefits is the fact that, you see, as a business, you need a fast-paced solution for your entities, that whenever you have a huge traffic at the station, you'll be able to fuel very fast to your clients, and at the same time, you adhere to the prevailing tax regulations that we have. So that is also a big benefit. And as I mentioned, the hazardous nature of the petrol stations, you need to keep on the look of the risks that you have. If there is a lot of commotion at the station level, you'll be able now to see a way of mitigating that. And with this solution, there is a likelihood of faster movement, faster transactions, and yes, it's good on the end of the taxpayers.
All right. So what safeguards exist to prevent manipulation? And I'm talking about once these transactions have been done, right from the petrol station to the point where it now reflects on the KRA portal. What are you doing to prevent manipulation?
Of course, one of the key things that we have a data privacy policy. And the fact that these particular transactions are encrypted and they are securely transmitted to KRA. So the aspect of manipulation is neither here nor there. Because once a data is encrypted and securely transmitted to the KRA, it means it's safe, right? Yes.
All right. So what penalties or enforcement actions do KRA now give to this, say, petrol owners that fail to just comply with this eTims module?
Of course, we have the prevailing penalties and even enforcement actions that are provided by the law. We have even Section 86 of the Tax Procedures Act that highlights all that. But before we reach to that point, at least I think the main concern is how we can be able to facilitate our taxpayers so that we don't reach a point where we have to slap them with hefty penalties, enforcement measures that we have. So what we are currently doing is to ensure that we facilitate them, to ensure that they comply fully in this particular industry. Yes.
So is this, does this apply only in rural areas or in urban areas or these major cities when you're talking about eTims integration?
It is across the country because petrol stations are all over the country. Yeah, so the only difference is the level of automation or the existing setup of the particular station. You would find that maybe a station has only a dispenser. Other stations in the city, most of them have dispensers and forecourt controllers already and a POS. What they need is just to do an integration to eTims so that the transactions they do now are transmitted to KRA. In other regions, maybe in rural areas, you'll find someone has also only a dispenser. So this particular taxpayer will be required to get a forecourt controller and a POS, which are provided by our certified third-party integrators whom we have certified and published on our CARE website.
And this question was coming from a point of, we see sometimes there's lack of stable internet connectivity in underserved areas, the rural areas. So how are you addressing that digital divide to ensure eTims is perfectly operational in these rural areas or underserved areas where internet connectivity is a problem?
Now, eTims has the ability to work offline and online. Offline in scenarios where there is a internet disruption. So it has the ability to be generating invoices. Once that is done, once the internet is restored, you'll be able now to transmit these particular transactions to eTims. So basically it is the aspect of this particular solution having the ability to work offline whenever there is internet disruption. Yes.
There have been concerns as well that, you know, this compliance cost could be passed down to the taxpayer in the form of higher fuel prices. So what's CARE's position with this?
I think that is a discussion that the industry has been holding with the EPRA in collaboration even with the Treasury to see a way on how they can be able to get some either stipends or some waiver. Yes, and of course this particular implementation, it comes with it is cost effective in a way. You realize that whenever you do an integration, of course you will pay for it. That integration also qualifies for capital allowance that is enshrined on our Income Tax Act Cap 470, the second schedule. And now, on the other aspect where, because once a solution is installed, you'll be able now to do maintenance, regular maintenance. The cost that comes with the regular maintenance also qualifies as expenditures under the Income Tax Act. Yeah.
How are you measuring the return on investment, and how are you doing the tracking in regards to just how it's, you know, this eTims portal is now giving back or just generating revenue to the economy? How are you tracking and measuring the return on investment?
I think we do measure in terms of the number of transactions that our taxpayers do. And also, you see, this solution has the ability to manage the stock. So you'll be able to have a visibility or traceability of the stock movement from one place to another, or whenever someone fails, there has to be a reduction in stock, and the same has to be recorded by this solution. And therefore, it helps us now to determine whether you did, sell or fail to your clients, or there is a loophole or a fraud that is being undertaken by some such taxpayers. Yes.
What did you learn during the first rollout phases of this eTims, that maybe places that you failed and that are now doing better as CARE, just to help in this rollout of eTims?
I think the biggest lesson learned is to enhance engagement and engagement with our stakeholders and even the dealers at the ground level, because without which you cannot be able to accomplish the objective that we had in ensuring compliance in this particular sector. So we learned that, and that is actually what we are improving on. The others were just minor issues where taxpayers could come on case-by-case basis. If he has an issue, we'll be able to sort them, and they were good to go. Yes.
Any teething problems or challenges that you are facing right now in the rollout of eTims?
I think it's mostly the responsiveness from the taxpayers, who are some are reluctant to onboard, some are also waiting whether my neighbor is onboarded or not. So that is a big challenge, because if a taxpayer can just be able to onboard from the word go and get guidance from the KRA, it becomes now an easy task from our end. But a scenario where you have to see whether your neighbor or your friend has onboarded is when now you onboard, it becomes a challenge. Yes.
Of course, lack of trust is also an issue in regards to data privacy. So what are you doing as KRA just to ensure that even as these petrol stations comply with this eTims model, that their data is protected from breaches and misuse?
Yeah, I've mentioned about the data privacy policy that we have. And for the integrators that carry out these particular integrations on behalf of the KRA or on behalf of the taxpayers, they do service level agreements. Yes, so there is a lot of encryption. The trust, I think it's maybe from the image of the past KRA. The KRA we have today is, I think, is a service-oriented or service-centric KRA that will be able to facilitate our taxpayers in, as opposed to just enforcing.
How about the feedback mechanism with eTims? Says somebody, wants to say that there's a technical hitch 1 to 3. How do they do that? These petrol station owners.
We have our relationship persons at the eTims operations office, and also we have our toll-free numbers. We have Teams operations numbers, and also we have our Teams operations email, where you can be able to channel that and we'll be able to work on them on real time.
So Paul, what's the end goal with this eTims module?
Our end goal is just to ensure that this particular sector complies with we facilitate, this particular sector to comply with the VAT regulations and even the prevailing tax laws as a whole, so that at the end of the day, they'll be able to continue with their normal businesses without disruption, and also being compliant. You have confidence in your business. Instead of now focusing on how to comply, you'll be able now to see a way of now expanding your business. So this particular project also, it instills confidence in the businesses, because if I am to do a business with you, let's say I'm a construction firm, I need to claim. So if you issue me with an invoice that is not compliant, I'll be hesitant now to engage you going forward. But if you issue me with a compliant invoice, then I'll have that confidence that customer relationship confidence that whenever I do a transaction with you, I'm good to go. I can be able to claim that particular input. Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Paul Owithi. That is eTims Operations Officer from the Kenya Revenue Authority. Thank you for making time.
Thank you for having me on the show.
That's it for this conversation. Up next, St. John's Ambulance. You're talking about burns and fire safety. You're watching Morning Cafe.